In April of 1945, Patton's Third Army discovered a mine that contained a treasure of Nazi gold, stolen artwork, and tons of cash hidden in a potassium salt mine in the tiny town of Merkers, Germany. There were over 10,000, possibly as many as 15,000 bars of gold. And I think my father, before he passed away, discovered what happened to 400 of those bars. In April of 1945, Patton's Third Army discovered a huge hidden treasure that consisted of gold, artwork, cash, all hidden in a salt mine in the tiny town of Merkers, Germany. Many of us have heard the story before. Matter of fact, it was even dramatized and portrayed in the 2014 movie Monuments Men, which starred George Clooney, Matt Damon, Bill Murray, John Goodman. They dramatized the finding of the mine, but they got the facts wrong. And I want to share with you what really happened, because I think it's going to shed a lot of light on what could have happened to the gold that my father discovered went missing. But if we're just meeting for the first time, my name is Ken, and it looks like my father had discovered approximately 400 bars of the gold had been smuggled by workers of the mine, and it went on a cross-country journey, possibly out of the country. So basically, I'm looking for your help. If you find this subject interesting and you want to learn more, please click and subscribe. Leave some comments in the comments section if you have any additional knowledge or interest. For those of you that aren't familiar with the story of Merkers, Germany, to provide a little bit of background, the Reichsbank building was built in the late 30s. And then in late 1944 and 1945, the Allies started bombing the hell out of Berlin. And as you can see, the Reichsbank didn't have a chance. It was pretty much destroyed, along with many other buildings within Berlin. And a lot of the bank operations had to be moved into the cellars. If the German citizens, if the German soldiers discovered that the nation of Germany could no longer pay the soldiers, the financial institution would totally collapse. So the bank officials had to make a decision. They had to move the cash. They had to move the gold. They had to move basically everything that was stored within the vaults of the bank. And that included artwork. So they came up with this plan to transport all of this gold, cash, artwork into various salt mines that had low humidity, no light, basically ideal conditions to preserve a lot of this artwork and to house the cash and gold. So throughout February and the month of March 1945, they moved all of this material to the mine. Before my father passed away, he shared that he was writing a book about how some of the gold that had been discovered had been smuggled out of Germany. I thought it was fiction at the time. After he passed away, I was able to get a copy of what he was working on, along with several folders filled with everything from handwritten notes to plenty of reports that were issued by the Third Army after they discovered the gold. It looks like it was all research for, like I said, a fiction book that he was working on. Well, when the pandemic hit and I found all kinds of time on my hands, I decided that I would take a crack at finishing his book. It sounded like a lot of fun. It sounded like a way to figure out what was going through my father's mind at the time prior to his death. So why not? From April of 2020 to about now, January 2021, I tried to figure out where this story was going. This could have easily been nonfiction based on a lot of the details that I found in these folders. There was also apparently a roll of film that had been developed 60 years later showing photographs of what happened to this gold. I've decided to try and finish this book from an aspect of historical fiction based on true events. 75 years ago, all of this gold, cash, and artwork was discovered. That's a long time for this trail to go cold. I've pretty much hit a dead end. With the pandemic right now, no one can travel to Germany. So I decided to create a series of videos. I'm actually going to be making 10 of these videos. I need to break it up into segments so that I could reanalyze all of this information and maybe discover something new. There might be someone else out there that might have some additional information or some insights that could help me finish the story. So basically, I'm looking for your help. If you find this subject interesting and you want to learn more, like I said, I'm going to be posting additional videos. Please click and subscribe. Leave some comments in the comments section if you have any additional knowledge or interest. And most importantly, if you find holes or maybe some mistakes with the information that I'm sharing with you, please let me know. I won't take it personally. I won't take it as an attack, because any mistakes that you can correct will actually help me to finish the story and possibly even discover where this small quantity of gold ended up. Some of you may already know. I would find that really exciting. Please click and subscribe and stay tuned, because I've got personal interviews of Reichsbank officials as well as art curators from museums that can shed light on how this gold, as well as these other items, ended up in the Merkers mine and what happened to these individuals once the Allied army arrived. And in future videos, I'm going to delve into who these people were, what they were doing. It's all been documented, and it's pretty fascinating stuff. If you find it informational, if you find it even just entertaining, please click and subscribe. Leave some comments if you've got some additional information, or if you find that, quite frankly, some of the information is faulty. I'm looking for insight. I'm looking for critiques, because if I can tighten up this story, if I can figure out where things are going and get past the dead end that I ran into, maybe I can figure out where the gold is, or I can at least have some information to finish writing this story. My name is Ken. Thanks for your interest, and take some time to go learn about World War II.